Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Lisi, and I am the Partnerships and Events Manager for DASA. Today, I'm excited to welcome you to our third episode of our Platform Engineering mini-series, Breaking Silos and Building Synergy, a struggle I'm sure many organizations are familiar with. I am delighted to introduce you to our speaker for today's episode. I would like to welcome Sunil Kumara Jugada, who is a DevOps engineer at Robert Half, as our distinguished guest for today. Sunil, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lacey. Hey everyone, this is Sunil Kamrajagada. I'm a senior DevOps engineer in one of the leading global staffing companies. So today I'm here to discuss about how silos affect the organization and how it is important to break down the silos in DevOps. So let's get started. It is very important to break down the silos in the team or in an organization because silos can give a negative impact on the team, always making to deliver the projects crossing the time limit, and it always impact the innovation in the team. So before we dive into the topic, what silos are, how impactful they are to the team, and what are the steps that you can take, to break down the silos. Let me give you a brief overview of what DevOps is. So when it comes to DevOps, this is a set of principles that combine both the software development and then the IT operations. So by this way, you can shorten the software development life cycle, delivering the high quality of the software at a very rapid pace. So using the DevOps principles, you can do the continuous integration, continuous deployment. You can have the team test their features as quick as every day deployments, weekly deployments, monthly deployments, and the quarterly major releases. So there are some of the key principles for DevOps. Those are the collaboration, the automation, CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, monitoring, logging, and alerting. So when it comes to collaboration, DevOps make sure that there is a proper communication and collaboration between the software development teams and then the IT operations team, which means the DevOps team. So following the best principles of DevOps, it makes sure that it breaks down the silos between both the teams. So when it comes to automation, by making use of DevOps tools that are available in the market, you can automate the test cases for the smoother deployment. You can make the deployments more effective and efficient. So when it comes to CI/CD, the name implies that continuous integration and continuous deployment. So as soon as the developer develops the code, checks in the code to the core repo, you can integrate with any of the CI/CD tools, the widely popular there with Jenkins, and recent thing that have got the wide popularity is GitLab CI/CD. So when you integrate your repo with such tools, you can immediately integrate your code, build the code, run through the series of test cases, and then save the artifact and then deploy onto the destination. Well, either it may be a server or a cluster, depends on your needs. So when it comes to the monitoring, alerting, logging, you can set up monitoring to the production applications that are deployed in the production, and you can alert the teams by sending the notification, and then you can always create logs out of these alerts. And then by this way, you have the feedback loop on the application performance, and you can always deliver the logs to the development team, and wherein they can optimize their code and they can work on the alerting if there are any issues with that. So now let's deep dive into what silos are, and what are the negative effects of silos and how it can break down the silos. These are some of my key principles that I followed and I'm still following to break down the silos in my team. So when it comes to silos, silos are nothing but the isolated departments that has no communication. They don't communicate effectively, or they don't collaborate effectively with other teams or within the teams. So When what happens when you have silos in your organization? So first thing is, they when you have no effective communication, it always makes you always exceed the deadline of the project, so you never deliver the project in time because you have no effective communication in case of blockers or impediments, especially when delivering the project. So when you have silos in the project, you end up uh, working on the duplicate tasks, because when you divide the project into tasks, and when you start working on when you actually spread it to the team to work on a particular task. So when there is a no proper communication established, so people end up working on the duplication task. So like two people work on the same thing, or people might work on the task that I have already finished. So setting the priority to the task when there is no proper communication, the developers or the DevOps engineer doesn't work on what is priority, and they end up working on the non-priority tasks. So when that's one thing. The other thing is there is no sync between your development team, QA team, and then the DevOps engineers team. So let's suppose, say, if there is a task that developer is working on that need to be tested by QA and automated to deploy it to the production by the DevOps engineer, and wherein there is no sync between, developers end up working on one task, whereas the QA team is developing a test cases for the other task, and the DevOps engineers team end up automating or creating the scripts to automate the deployment to a different task. So you always end up under delivering the tasks for the project. You always miss the deadlines of it, and you never see the innovation or growth to that particular team. So it is very important to break down the silos in the team, in the organization. So now I'm here to discuss about some of the practical steps that you can perform to break down the silos and take care of the silos in the particular team or in the particular organization. So first thing I would say, have a good communication. Make use of the communication tools that are available widely in the market. Some you have the many popular tools like Microsoft Office or Slack, wherein you can have the dedicated communication channels created in these particular tools, and then you have the dedicated channel exclusive to your project, wherein you can discuss the status of it, what's being done by the developers, what's being done by the QA, what's being done by the DevOps engineers, so that you always have the status of the work that is being done. And you can also share the blockers or impediments that's blocking a particular person in your team or project to move forward. So this way you can have the very good effective communication and transparency of the work that you're doing. We have other communication channels too, like the email or Outlook, but the turnaround time for the emails or Outlook emails is a bit long. But when it comes to Slack or Microsoft, such communication tools, uh, the visibility is pretty quick and the turnaround time is pretty quick. So you just I am someone in the, you just I am in the group chat, and someone looks at it and they immediately respond. So my next key takeaway is, create a team for a particular project, and have the members from different teams. Have a bunch of developers from the development team, testers from the QA team, and then the DevOps engineers from the DevOps engineers team, and have the architect, and have all these people from different teams collaborate together on a single project, work together, so that you have a good collaboration among teams. So this way you know the point of contact. You come to know that there are other different teams, and you know whom to reach out when there is a issue, or when you need something. So this way you have the effective collaboration between different teams, and when you have people work together from a different team in a single project. So I just want to share a couple of examples from my personal implementation of these principles. when we initially transitioned to agile methodology, implementing Scrum. We implemented daily stand-ups. So this way, we tracked the status of the entire project when we break down into sprints, and then tasked the entire project to the Jira board. So this way, we make sure that we have the project tasked in the Jira board and have tasks created depending on the strength of the project, meaning depending on the count of the people in the project, and assigning the tasks to each of the project. This way, there was huge transparency in the project, so we know what we are doing, and this way we were able to identify the bottlenecks prior, and we were able to deliver tasks. So we have seen a huge growth in terms of the delivery. So that was one of the benefit. And the next thing is, uh, so as a result of this one, we have seen a huge difference wherein we had a major software release followed in the first quarter of the project after we transitioned to agile methodology, and it was a huge success because we had formed a cross-functional team with the developers, QA, DevOps engineers, architect, and we were discussing the bottlenecks prior to it. And QA people have come with most possible test cases. Tested the fast failures, and tested the high availability things of the project that we are developing, and then this made us to deliver the first quarter major release very smoothly, with very minimal post release issues. So the next key principles that I want to discuss is the enhancing collaboration. So you can achieve the good collaboration by having paid programming between the developers team and then the DevOps engineers team. So this way, when you have both the teams work together, you know what you're doing. So you are aware of when you're working on a particular task. So you are aware of the outcome of that task. So you are aware of the possible failures, and this way you can always do the code optimization when working together. For example, you need some script, especially with the autosys scripts that you're creating, or this way you can have the developer and the DevOps engineer work together to optimize the code as much as you can, so that they run smoothly on your production systems. This way, you can also create KPIs, key performance indicators, that measure both the development and the operations success. So this way, you can make sure that you have very minimal post deployment issues, and the deployment times, you can always improve the deployment times. So you can surely see a growth in the deployment times, wherein you need not to have more deployment times when you follow these principles. So my next point is fostering the mindset of continuous improvement. So when I say fostering the mindset, so how you can do it. So in my first example, I said that we have transitioned to the agile methodologies. Then we were missing something. So initially we had no meetings after each sprint. We ended up taking more work and deliver under delivering it. So that's because we had no plan of the new flown issues in the middle of the sprint or at very last days of the sprint. So we were only considering the work for the sprint, but we were missing out on the P1 issues that suddenly come into our queue. So then after a couple of months, we have realized we need to set up the retrospectives about the sprint and analyze the sprint that is completed, and talk through what went well. So if that particular thing we want to continue throughout the sprint, throughout the life cycle of the project. We were accounting, we were making note of the what went well things, and we always encourage the team to come up with ideas on how the things need to be improved, that were not addressed in the current sprint. So in the initial days we end up a couple of tasks that getting carry forward to the next sprint, especially when the priority tasks that are coming in the middle of the sprint. So we had a good retrospective meeting after a couple of months, and then people have come up with different ideas, how to handle, especially with the priority issues that flow into the sprint all of a sudden, and then we could be able to uh, create success in handling those priority issues along with the normal issues that we work on a sprint basis. So this was a huge success in my previous organization. So this way we made sure that we were handling both the priority issues and the regular tasks effectively. Now, my next point is have the feedback loop. So we have many DevOps tools out there. You can integrate the automated test cases for your application, run your application through these test cases, and you can immediately provide the feedback on the code so that developers can optimize the code, and then they can uh, put back the changes in the code, and they can deploy the code. So this way you can create some of the test cases, and through the monitoring, by observing the application performance, you can also give feedback to the developer so that they can make changes to the code, optimize the code. They can immediately correct uh, the weak areas, and they can improve the weak areas, and they can do the another deployment again. So my next principle is have the development and operations team work together. So we have many DevOps tools out there. Like I said, one of them being Jenkins for continuous integration, continuous deployment. When you want to deploy software to hundreds of servers, when you want to install any of the softwares or enable any of the features, or uh, edit some of the config files on the server. Doing it manually works for one or two servers, but when you have hundreds of servers out there, you definitely need automation in place. So we have many strategies out there wherein you have Chef, we have Ansible, Puppet, SaltStack. So just make use of these DevOps tools to automate the software installations, any of the config file changes that you want to do on many of the servers at the same time. And then you can make use of the Jenkins to integrate and deploy onto the servers. So the one good example I just remember is, we were having different teams to stage the templates, and we have a separate team to stage the template, and there is a separate team to deploy onto the server. This was when we are using the legacy tools, but we were not using any of the DevOps tools that I have mentioned. This was happened in one of our previous projects. So there was no proper coordination or communication between the two teams, because there is a separate team to stage your artifact or template, and there is a separate team that does the production deployment. So there was no proper communication happening between both the teams, and we always see delay in the production deployments, and you also have to wait after the staging of the artifacts, your project, your apps code. You need to wait some time to see it on the production. So this was actually addressed by introducing Ansible to one of my previous organizations. So this way, we made sure that we were doing, the deployment, and then the staging together with these Ansible templates. So we were using Ansible to deploy onto the servers, and all the deployment were replaced with the legacy tool. And we have set up the Ansible and Ansible Tower so that people can easily understand looking at the UI. They can see their staged templates, and they can always select the environment that they want to deploy these staged templates to. So this way, It helped in terms of the deployment times and in terms of the effective collaboration. So we could definitely see a growth wherein one team handling the entire process of it. And like I said, automation is very important when you're handling hundreds and thousands of servers in your organization. So I personally have experience with AWS, Amazon Web Services, and Microsoft Azure. I use both the cloud. So whenever I want to have the infrastructure set up, I always prefer either using CloudFormation templates or CDK. When it comes to Azure, the ARM templates or Bicep. So what happens when you use these automation tools? These are called the infrastructure as code. Uh, you can use the same template and tweak some of the values in it, and you can use these templates throughout different requirements in the entire project. So you end up using the same template throughout all the servers when you want to create the infrastructure. So what happens when you have the ISC in place? You have the very minimal manual intervention. You have the minimal manual errors, and when you actually click on one button, it creates all the resources that are needed for your infrastructure to be in place. So for example, when I talk through the Amazon Web Services, I have the requirement to create the IAM role, a server, S3 bucket, some of the KMS keys, some of the secrets that are needed for my entire project. So if I end up creating manually, I have to create each resource separately. And for example, if it is a huge project, you end up creating more than 10, 20 secrets, wherein you store all the credentials that are required for your project in the secrets manager. So you have to create secret separately, but whereas using a CLI commands, or the Jenkins, or the IAC, you can create all together in just one template. So you can set up the entire infrastructure in just one template. And not just that, these are reusable templates, like I mentioned earlier. So you can always make a note of it, and then these are some of the best principles that you can follow. And my next principle is embracing the shared responsibilities. So I would say, encourage people when there is a instance of the system outage or failure. You can always encourage people to do the root cause analysis without not assigning the blame on a person who caused it, but we our main focus is on the root cause analysis. So this way you can identify the root cause and make sure that it doesn't happen again. So not just that, you can maintain a knowledge base wherein you can make note of the issues that you have encountered, the solutions that you followed. This way, if the same issue occurs in future, the next engineer can go to the knowledge base and look at the article documentation, look at the problem, look at the solution, and then you can easily refer to that solution and apply that solution whenever you have the same issue. My next thing is taking the ownership culture. So I would say have all the team members adopt the ownership culture on the task that they have worked throughout the project life cycle. This way it develops a harmony in the team, and each all the team members are aware of the situation, and they can act fast. So for example, involving developers in post deployment monitoring issues, so that they are aware of their application performance, what's the traffic to the application, how that application is behaving when there is a spike in the traffic, and what's need to be done. So these things, so even the DevOps engineer observes the pattern of the traffic, and they can adjust their load balancers or auto scaling capacity based on the monitoring. So my last key principle is driving innovation through collaboration. When I say this, I want to talk about some of the accomplishments that we have done in one of my previous projects, wherein so we make sure that whenever there is a new feature, new tool, or new technology that's been in the market, and we feel that it is suitable to our project, so we make sure that we do a POC, proof of concept, for and create the minimum viable project. We also demo the minimum viable project to the audience, to the other team members, so that they are not adamant of the new changes or new tools that are available in the market. So it's always the success that speaks. So we show the success stories, we show the POC, minimum viable project, to the other teams, and make them to learn about the new technology. We conduct the learning sessions, and we make sure that all the other team members, or all the other teams in the organization, adopt the new tool by showing some of the success stories and POCs. So we also have the lunch and learn sessions frequently, so that we have different team members share their work. By this way, it fosters the understanding and respect across the teams, and this allows the collaborative good collaboration among the teams. And through this lunch and learns, people come up with new ideas, new innovations, and they share new things in the meetings. And this way, if there is a new technology that is available in the market, they showcase it in the teams, and we start doing a POC on the tool, and we move from the legacy tool to a better tool that is available in the market. So, in conclusion, I would say silos hinder the project, gives creates a negative impression on the team, which in turn affect the entire organization's growth. So, it is very important to have a very good communication, very clear communication, effective communication, which creates effective collaboration within the teams and outside the teams when you are working together on a project. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sunil. Before we go, we'll open up for Q&A, and I see there's a couple of questions in the chat. So um, I'd like to throw up the question from Srinivas. Aren't the KPIs for SDO, or shouldn't they differ for the KPIs for SDO? Shouldn't they differ? And for those who don't know, SDO is Standard Deliver Operations. What are your thoughts?
Right. So the KPIs differ from team to team. So for development, they have a different set of goals, whereas for the IT operations, they have a different set of goals. For the architects, they have a different set of goals. For the QA, it's different. So we have a different KPIs. But you can develop a single dashboard where you have all the KPIs set up, and that are visible throughout the project.
Excellent. And actually, for a follow-up question, and this is more coming from me, do you have any suggestions on KPIs that would be good to align on or define? What have you noticed? Yeah, what are some KPIs you use to bring about that collaboration and align the teams?
Sure. So as a DevOps engineer, I have set up some of the KPIs. So I have followed some of the points that I have set up under KPIs. My goal is to always optimize my code in terms of the continuous integration and continuous deployment, and make sure that effective way of doing the deployments. For example, how I integrate the test cases with the builds that are being performed, and different possible mechanisms, how you can create these pipeline files. So for me as a DevOps engineer, I always do the optimization, and how I can create a good code optimization in terms of the infrastructure creation.
Excellent. We have another one from Srinivas. So when you're talking about observability, are you referring to observability when you say automated testing? Are you referring to TDD practices? So can you give us a little clarity on kind of what you meant around that?
Okay, so when you say correct, correct, and not just that. We have the JUnit, test cases integration in place with the Jenkins, so you can always do that. And especially when you're using GitLab CI/CD, uh, you basically have some of the links that you can perform. That always look at how your code is written, and it can give you the success or failure based off of those test results. So you can immediately look at that, and you can perform the code optimization.
Excellent. Thank you. And I think we have another question just surrounding kind of KPIs. Do you have any um do you have any specific metrics that are for continuous delivery rather than continuous deployment?
In terms of the KPIs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kind of
Okay,
metric, yeah,
so
look at.
sorry, your voice cut. Can you just
Oh no,
repeat
you're right.
that?
Yes, metrics. Yes, metrics surrounding this.
Okay, so yeah, in terms of the KPIs, especially when it comes to one of my previous projects, so what we have done is we had the project manager to create these KPIs, and especially with the continuous integration, uh, we have a specific metrics. In terms of how your code is performing, how the build is happening with the continuous integration. So we have the file. We also have the file put in the repo wherein it goes through those tests, and it passes, and then it delivers the feedback.
Excellent. And another one from Srinivas, and I think this is really great when we're talking about especially platform engineers. Um, Referring to dashboards, what are some best practices? Can you talk a little bit about if this is a way, a good way for collaboration around dashboards, for example?
So one good example is you have a Zira out there where you can create the dashboards, and where you can see what's going on with your project, with your entire project. So this way, Jira is one of the good examples.
Okay, excellent. And we'll have one more question. From our side. So oftentimes there can be a pushback from people in the organization for more cross functional collaboration. Now, that's not because people don't want to work together, but there are, of course, some growing pains and some concerns that come with change. How, in your opinion, how do you set up an environment to have this change, to break down these silos? And what strategies can you use to approach, your platform engineers and your other teams to promote more collaboration? How do you basically pitch this to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, when it comes to people, where they are not effectively collaboration, or, they have some concerns, especially with the cross-functional communication. So we present them the situations, especially we present them the success stories that we have implemented with the other teams, and when you don't implement, what's going to be the situation, and when you implement, what's going to be the situation. So it's for the teams, or for the management, it is always the success stories that matter, or the metrics that matter. So you always show them the success stories, and you present them how smoother it is, and what are the benefits having for the cross functional teams to work together.
Excellent. And we have one final question from Falco, which I think is a really great question. Is there a specific order when breaking down silos? Where to start and when to finish? What would you say on that?
Sure, that's definitely a good question. So I would say first, have the effective communication. So when you have the effective communication, this is very first step to break down the silos. So it can be any form of communication, but it should involve the entire team that works towards the project. Have the good communication, have the daily stand-ups or a weekly meetings to share the progress or current status of your project. So this way everything is transparent. So this way you can easily identify that if there are any problems, in your particular project, you can always address them. You can always address the bottleneck. So I say first thing is having the effective collaboration, effective communication. On top of that, you can have the regular meetings to understand the status of the project and to address the impediments, and then you can follow my key principles that I have mentioned in the presentation.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, I want to sincerely thank you, Sunil, for your incredible insights on the challenges facing organizations and teams when we have a breakdown of communication due to these siloed teams. I think it's very interesting how it's essential to engage not only the different teams in the engineering or platform engineering ecosystem. And this is a really cool way that DevOps comes into play, the essence of which is collaboration, continuous improvement, and integration. As you highlighted, silos can cause a multitude of problems such as duplicated tasks,
Right.
misalignment on products, misunderstandings, and ultimately delayed timelines, which can be costly. And I remember we actually had a similar talk on breaking down silos for our 2024 DAS Connect conference. And one of the examples that were given were also breaking down silos between not just engineering teams, but also, between marketing and sales. So a lot of these
Yeah.
principles actually go beyond uh, not just, your devs, and can be beneficial to the entire organization. It's this cultural transformation that I think we really you touch upon with a lot of these principles, which I think was just excellent. And
Thank
so,
you.
of course, if your organization is implementing or integrating platform engineering teams, it does require this holistic approach to promote further collaboration. And um, yeah, so we would like to highlight
Right.
some key takeaways from the episodes, such as setting KPIs that represent both development and operational success, involving different departments and holding consistent meetings, creating a safe space for team members to test ideas, encourage your team members to take responsibility for their work throughout the life cycle, and schedule sessions to reflect on processes and outcomes, and implement these mechanisms for continuous feedback. If you are inspired by today's topic and want to learn more about platform engineering, we encourage you to check out the DASA Platform Engineering Certification Program and Product Suite. You can find more information on our website at dasa.org or access the direct link that'll be to the product suite in the comments. Thank you all again for joining. I want to again thank Sunil for these incredible insights. Our next episode will be on December 10th at 4 o'clock p.m. Central European Time, and the topic will be Unlocking Developer Happiness, how platform engineering powers productivity and information or innovation. Thank you, everyone, again, and have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on where you are.
Thank you. Bye.